Estello's Black Mountains, somewhere no one wished to be, where nothing ever happened, where dust covered most of the ground and the night kept daylight away. There lay a small place called Estellos. In the very center of Estello stood 4 of the largest, tallest, and most powerful black mountains anyone had ever seen. The 4 mountains had melted into one, a single immense mass of dark stone. Thick clouds hid their peaks so completely that not even the sharpest-eyed bird could glimpse the top. The mountains themselves were dead black. Nothing moved. Only a few dry trees caught the eye, standing like skeletons in the dust. From deep inside the mountains came a dreadful rumbling and hissing. The animals who lived nearby seldom spoke about the mountains. Most avoided even naming them, afraid it would bring bad luck. Only the old snake once said that, on a full moon night, he had seen something flying between the peaks. He added, "The dimmer the daylight, the darker the night becomes." And so, the Black Mountains of Estellos were feared by all. Seppo in the morning. Seppo felt something soft, brushing against his face, Mickey's tongue. He opened one eye, then the other. He was lying between Mickey's front paws. Turning around, Seppo crawled between the tiger's hind legs, pulled Mickey's tail over himself like a blanket, and fell back asleep. He awoke when Mickey began teasing him, laying his tail across Seppo's face and lifting it away again. Seppo groaned, tilted his head back, looked up at Mickey, and mumbled sleepily, "Breakfast is getting late. If you don't get up now, you'll miss it completely." "Oh no, that mustn't happen," muttered Seppo drowsily. Booty's kitchen disaster. On their way to the kitchen, they saw the sun taking its mighty steps into a new day, scattering rays as if stretching across the sky. In the kitchen awaited a great surprise. Booty had woken up early and rushed to cook, hoping that, perhaps overnight, he had finally learned the art of breakfast. But no such luck. Other than burnt mushrooms and hard-boiled eggs, there was nothing edible, unless one counts the fact that the kitchen had been completely redesigned. While burning the mushrooms, Booty had crashed into the table, and one leg hadn't survived the impact. The room was a complete mess. Mickey laughed so hard he could barely breathe. When the laughter finally faded, he said, "Booty has never understood anything about cooking." Booty shouted back, "You don't even know what pans are for. And the worst part, Mickey, is that I can't even explain it to you, because you'd never understand." Then he jumped onto Mickey's back, and a friendly wrestling match began. Seppo joined in at once. After 10 minutes of tumbling and laughter, the 3 of them lay on the floor, gasping for air, still giggling. "Phew, that was exhausting," sighed Booty, and together they began to clean up the kitchen. The family. Seppo looked like any ordinary boy. 2 hands, 2 feet, and a head between his shoulders. But in size he was smaller than all others. He stood no taller than 15 centimeters. However, in age and wisdom, few could match him. The Metznick family lived to be 200, sometimes even 250 years old. Long lives, though not unusual for their kind. Seppo lived in his grandfather's big house with his friends Mickey and Booty. Grandfather Peppo was often away. He never said exactly where, only that he needed quiet for his work. Grandfather Peppo. Peppo was a famous man. Wherever there was trouble or illness, people sent for him. He made healing oils that could cure even the sickest of creatures. His oils came from leaves, tree roots, and strange plants he found in the forest. Peppo knew much about herbs and healing. Everything he knew had been passed down from his own grandfather. Though only 50 years old, he was already considered a great master. The Metznick family was respected across the land, known far and wide for their wisdom and skill. Once long ago, Peppo had traveled far to the distant land of Ussuri, home of the Tiger King I. The queen had fallen down the stairs and broken her tail. For days she wept, believing she would never heal. When Peppo arrived, he treated her with his forest oils and secret herbs. Within days, the queen's tail was as good as new, and a great celebration began in his honor. A few weeks later, a large wooden chest arrived for Peppo, a gift from the Tiger King himself. Inside was a tiny silver tiger cub. Peppo had no time to care for it, so he gave the cub a mild potion to keep it from growing too large and gifted it to Seppo for his birthday. Seppo was overjoyed and named the tiger Mickey. Mickey and Booty. Mickey's fur was silver with deep black stripes that looked as though they carried hidden meaning. When Mickey grew older, Seppo asked about the stripes. Mickey only laughed, saying, "It's probably my crown. I am royalty after all." He was about the size of a cat, though far stronger, a tiger in spirit and heart. Booty's story was simpler. He was a bird from the north. No one knew exactly what kind. He looked like a parrot, though he always insisted he was not one. His family had once flown south for the winter, but Booty had been too young to keep up. He landed in a wide field where Seppo later found him. Seppo loved to tell the story of how they met. Booty had been walking through the grass when Seppo approached politely and asked who he was and where he came from. Booty had puffed up his feathers proudly and said, "I am the smartest, most beautiful, and most intelligent bird in all the north, and probably the whole world." Seppo burst out laughing. After the laughter faded, they sat in the hay, sharing stories. Booty told of his adventures, and Seppo told of his life with a real tiger no larger than a cat. Booty was so amazed that he decided to stay for the summer. And so the three friends, Seppo, Mickey, and Booty, lived together in Grandfather Peppo's great house. The house itself was built by 4 families of bees, Peppo once said. It stood in a small oak grove full of mushrooms. Animals claimed that Peppo had planted something in the ground that made mushrooms grow endlessly. And that was why the place was called Mushroom Hollow. The letter. After cleaning the kitchen and having breakfast, the post finally arrived. The mail carrier was a snail, the slowest creature in the forest. Seppo often wondered how it ever managed to deliver anything, but that didn't matter. What mattered were the letters it carried. Seppo's eyes caught a large red envelope among the pile. After greeting them with a polite, "Good morning," the snail slid away. Seppo rushed to the mailbox, opened it, and grabbed the biggest letter. "Mickey, Booty, come here," he shouted. In seconds, both were in the kitchen. "Look at this," said Seppo. "Yes, but what kind of letter is it?" asked Mickey. "It's addressed to Grandfather," said Seppo. "Grandfather?" Booty gasped. "But he hasn't been home for months." "I can hardly remember the last time I saw him," said Mickey, a little annoyed. "Yes, you're right," said Seppo. "We can't wait for him. We'll open it and read it ourselves." The letter wasn't long. In large letters, it said, "Dear Grandfather, we, the animals of Estellos, are deeply troubled. We live in great fear of the mountain. We cannot sleep at night. During the day, we dare not walk near it. There is constant rumbling between the peaks. Please, kind sir, help us in our distress. The animals of Estellos." "We must help them," said Mickey. "Yes, we must," agreed Booty eagerly. "Of course," said Seppo. "But how? Grandfather isn't here, and no one knows when he'll return." He paused for a moment, then whispered, "Then we'll go. If Grandfather doesn't come home today, we'll leave at sunrise tomorrow." "To where?" "We don't even know where Estellos is," said Booty. "No, but I know someone who can guide us," replied Seppo. He jumped onto Mickey's back. "Now, Mickey, hurry, to the hawk." "Uncle Hawk." "The hawk?" Booty exclaimed. "Yes," said Seppo. "He knows everything." The hawk was an old bird who lived inside a hollow oak down in the valley beyond the leaf forest toward the sunrise. Seppo called him Uncle Hawk because he had once carried Grandfather Peppo on his back, over the highest mountains and across the widest valleys for more than 84 years before retiring. Mickey galloped through the valley, running faster and faster toward the rising sun until the great oak stood before them. Booty arrived a moment later, panting and muttering about Mickey's speed. Seppo laughed, ran to the window, and knocked 3 times. A moment later, Uncle Hawk appeared, blinking sleepily. "Seppo? You?" he said, surprised. "I thought I'd never see you again." "When was the last time you visited?" Seppo blushed. He had once visited every month, but now 4 months had passed. He explained that summer had gone by too quickly, that grandfather hadn't been home, and that all the housework was his. "I see," said the hawk kindly. "But what brings you down the valley today?" Seppo told him the whole story. The hawk listened carefully, then said, "It's a complicated place, that mountain. I've flown near it a few times. It makes a terrible sound, and the air feels strange there. Those 4 mountains have truly become one, dark and lifeless. It won't be an easy journey." "Is it far?" asked Seppo. "About 10 days away," the hawk replied. "You'll have to run toward the sunrise. The first day, you'll cross a wide field. Then for 3 days, you'll travel through the wild forest. The fiercest beasts live there, the biggest hunters in the land." "Don't worry," said Seppo. "I have Mickey with me." "Oh, of course," said the hawk, smiling. "I forgot that little detail." "After the forest," the hawk continued, "you'll spend 2 days running between tall cliffs before reaching the great white snowy mountain, Lesso. You cannot go around it. You must climb over. It will take you 2 days to reach the top. On the other side lies an icy sea that flows downward. If you can slide down safely, you'll soon see Greenland. And beyond it, the place no one dares to tread. The kingdom of the 4 mountains. Estellos. It's a dangerous path, and learning what's inside that mountain may be nearly impossible." Seppo looked down, deep in thought. Without grandfather, the journey sounded hopeless. Now wild beasts, the frozen mountain, and a land feared by all. The hawk saw his worry and said gently, "Don't fear, Seppo. You have friends, and you are of the Metznick family. You may be small in height, but your cleverness outshines all others. Go now, pack your things and begin your journey. I'll explain everything to your grandfather when he returns." As Seppo, Mickey, and Booty turned to leave, the hawk whispered quietly to himself, "I know, Seppo. I know why you're truly going to Estellos." And then he closed the window